It's like I'm walking on sunshine.
With the ball. Colorado. All right, welcome to DoomCast number 35. My name is Charlie McGrath. I am the co-founder of DoomCast, DoomCast.com, the DoomCast show on Twitter. Of course, I am joined by my co-host and the ball breaker tonight, Doug Owen, who is squaring me away on my website, or on our website, that it has languished here for the last several weeks. And he's right. He's absolutely right. Sometimes I need this tough love, and Doug Owen is certainly up to the task of providing this tough love to me, Charlie McGrath, co-founder of DoomCast. Doug Owen, other co-founder of DoomCast. Welcome to number 35. I just put out a quick little hello. Hey, first of all, what's with the towel-y and now the little gurgly noise that's going on there? Is that something new you added to the intro?
No, I just messing with stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, maybe I threw an eagle in there to make it sound patriotic.
Well, if you're in Colorado, it's all about that.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, apparently so. And you know, if those of you who are what do we got? 3 listening live in the Spreaker dealio?
Probably something like that. Yeah, we're rocking it.
They're rocking it. They're Spreakers, man. They're freaking out on the Spreaker.
Well, you know what happens with the Spreaker is that we turn this thing live and then it shoots out an email to 9,000 people, anybody that's followed us on the channel, and then we send out some tweets. Because we just, we'd have more people instantaneously waiting for us in the chat room if we did this with any kind of consistency or had a better way to reach out to people. And one of the great things about it is that we can do it whenever we want to. Oh, shit for Shinola. No, I'm good. Oh, thank goodness. I thought I thought I forgot the recording. No, we're good. But anyway, yeah, we're recording. We're streaming. We're live. It's good.
Well, I want to apologize to you in front of everybody, the whole DoomCast audience. On behalf of myself and Bonnie, and this is to Doug, but mainly to the Spreaker, the DoomCast audience,
Doomers nationwide,
the Doomer set that DoomCast.com is first of all, and Doug pointed out, it's missing a program in the archive, 2 programs in the archive, and we need to make it a little more active over there so that you can follow the RSS feed so that things are automatically posted and shot out from there. It is definitely time to get rolling on that. So we are going to make, and by we I mean I and Doug and Bonnie are going to make a concerted effort this week before DoomCast 36 to implement all of the items that Doug, the tech genius behind DoomCast, is going to put in email form to me, and I will have after this show. I'm holding myself accountable, Doug Owen, right now in front of the whole Spreaker audience.
Well, I mean, I think that it's up to us to support the people that listen to the show and that support us. So
I agree.
We have to make it intuitive. It's so hard to get people to a podcast or like a podcast, and so if it's not as intuitive and easy as possible, people give up on it.
Yeah. There's and I don't blame them. And I'm entrenched in YouTube, as you well know. So in my very small window of social media that I look at other hosts and look at other programs and look at information. In my mind, YouTube, because I've been there for so long and I post so much stuff there. As soon as I have something on YouTube, I'm thinking, well, that's it. That's the end of it. And that's so not the case. I mean, there's so many more. You
never know how long YouTube's going to be around, or when they just decide to arbitrarily shut down your channel. And that's one of the things that I think that we have to do is get away from relying on, Facebook pages. Because I see this all the time. Somebody has 1 million likes and they have some anti-New World Order page, and then they've been investing so much time and effort. And then one day, something happens and it's gone.
Yeah, and with all the gun crap I've been putting up lately, you never know. That could be any time.
So we have to have a better outlet, and that's what DoomCast.com has to be. Because, like I said, I mean, you just never know. And that way, if people know to go there, then if YouTube shenanigans, if Google, does something nefarious to your account, then people know where to go.
Yeah, we want, and you know what, you and I mean, we could both even contribute, content to Doomcast.com that we don't do now. I mean, you and I could literally articles that we write or videos that we make, you and I, that specifically and only will be available through DoomCast.com, and it would be a page people could visit every single day, like they do, Blacklisted News or Wide Awake News, and you're right, that's what it needs to be. Certainly, it isn't like we are, sitting here at scratch with 20 people a week listening to this podcast. No. It's certainly large enough that it would warrant having a more sophisticated website. I agree, and you put your foot down and you're making it happen, and I appreciate that, Doug. Yeah,
well, now you're going to make me have to write out this whole email.
You're gonna.
It's almost as easy just to code it myself. It's almost that easy. That's the hard thing with delegation. That's one thing I'm dealing with, a personal thing at work, and it's like this guy's like, well, show this other guy how to do all of this, and you're just like, by the time I do that, I could have just done this, and I know it's going to be right, and we can just move forward. Not that equates to the situation, but sometimes it's just like the most daunting aspect to me is actually laying it all down. I'm like, but that I understand that. I mean, I have a fair amount of responsibility in my day life as well, and delegation certainly is something that I have to do. I will not be able to accomplish half the things I need to get done. But sometimes, and I know that personality type where you don't want to do it. You don't want to give it to somebody else because you're afraid they're going to screw it up. But honestly, Doug, you got that's not me. That's not it for me at all. It's that it's really at some point you hit that, and I'm sure that of course, your sister's probably a genius guru when it comes to HTML and the websites. But when it comes to things that I actually do really well, I can get a page going. I know how to work HTML as well as any fourth grader nowadays. But literally to write out procedures, that's something that it's like, it's more. I lament over that more. It's showing other people. Are you
telling me the backhanded way you're not going to do this tonight, or
no? Absolutely, I'm going to do it.
Okay, all right. Well, I think you need to delegate your time, and here's why: because I know you got a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm sure you could whip out what we need to do really quick, but.
You're such a good manager.
I think you got a lot of things going on, Owen, and I think we need to have somebody that's dedicated, that is dedicated to Wide Awake News. She loves Blacklisted News. She's dedicated to DoomCast, and this is, she absolutely volunteered to do. And you know what? Everything that's done to this point and everything that's not done to this point is 100% on me, not her. She's done everything I've asked her and nothing that I haven't. So. We'll by DoomCast number 36, we're gonna revamp and have something new to look at. One thing I definitely want is I feel dumb sending you a message 10 minutes before we go live saying, now what link do I give if I want to listen, because of the promo video, right? So it needs to happen. It needs to be a DoomCast. It needs to be happening there. Everything needs to be there.
That's what, if we're not going to be critical of ourselves, who will be?
I don't know, but I feel a little beat up now, but it's good. It's good. I need my
No. It's not a matter of, beating up people or who's wrong or who's right. It's just a matter of doing things and getting them done.
I hear you.
It's pretty, I mean, and I don't want to say, but we were talking about this before the show. It's not that, I'm worried about it because like you said, I mean, the majority of the listeners or viewers of Doomcast are on YouTube and through the Spreaker channel.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if the majority are. I know there's a big jag of them, but there's a large amount. Look, you had under 1,000 people, I think, when we started Doomcast, following the Doomcast Blacklisted News Spreaker channel. Is that right? Was it 900 or something?
Yeah, something like
that.
And
now you're pushing 10 grand. So there's a lot of people that are listening in other formats as well, but why not have them all have it all, have all the feeds, all the, the YouTube, whatever download capability, have it all right there.
This might actually be weeding out all the dumb people and only people that can get past the intro, get past the silly bong sound, that can get down to the nitty gritty, they can get past all of that. So, I'm starting to rethinking this. I'm kind of rethinking this because the people are like, I can't figure it out. I'm like, all you have to do is type Charlie McGrath into Google and you're going to find his channel and you're going to find the Doomcast. So the people that can't find it, maybe they shouldn't, Charlie. What do you think about that?
Kind of make a longing for it. If they can't find it, they're going to want it more type of thing.
Well, no, well, maybe, or just
just weed out a dumb filter.
Yeah, it's kind of a dummy filter.
No. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right with your first instinct, which is let's make it simple, let's make it intuitive, let's make it. I want to make it a destination. Let's make it a reason people need to go to Doomcast every day, and then expand it out from there. Doomcast.com rather every day.
All right.
And I do really think that proprietary content, corporate catchphrase, we should put on there as well. I think you and I should commit to maybe an article a month or a couple articles a month or videos a month, where we just have it available only at Doomcast. Okay.
Yeah. I think that'd be a great
way to, see you next week. See you next week. I'm out.
We're done. Yeah.
Have you been? I don't know what news article. I know you got a lot of stuff prepared for the program tonight, but here's what we're going to do for sure. We are going to keep it in an hour. The last couple, I was traveling on the last both of them, but this hour and 40 minute stuff, I almost feel bad that for the audience, almost feel bad that they, not that they're going to listen to us for that long, but that they have to, maybe it's just me, Doug. Maybe I just have this psychological block when I see an hour and 49 minutes. Oh my God, I'm not even going to start that thing because I'm not going to be able to commit the kind of time to it. And what are your thoughts on that?
I think that it's casual. I mean, I listen, you look at the Joe Rogan podcast. What's that thing? 3 hours?
Oh, sometimes way longer. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 hours. No agenda. That's usually 2.5 hours. I mean, a lot of the podcasts are pretty long.
Yeah.
And even if you listen to a 3 hour regular talk radio show podcast, whether it's Savage or Jones, you're getting probably about 2 hours of actual content. 45 minutes to the hour, probably a little less, maybe 42 minutes.
What do you think the number one method of listening then? Are people putting it on their smartphone and taking it to the gym? Commute? What?
I think there's a lot of people on YouTube that are already part of that social network. I think a lot of people take it to the gym. A lot of people pick it up wherever they can grab it. I just go straight to YouTube and go right off of my smartphone. It's the easiest way to do it now. Before that, I would just download the RSS feeds onto my. I actually had one of those Zunes, and then I had a Sansa. So I had all the weird knockoff MP3 players that weren't Apple products.
Right.
And
that went away, that no longer exists.
Yeah. Sony Walkman. That thing was a piece of crap. But you could, pipe in the RSS feeds that way, and that was the easiest way to get other shows. But, with new technology, it's just a lot easier. You can go to the TuneIn radio app and type Doomcast if you have the TuneIn app, and boom, we're in there. So there's a lot of different ways to listen to the show.
Is there ways for us to expand that? I mean, could we get on to, some of these other internet radio?
A lot of them we already are, because this is the thing, and I know we're going tech geeky here, but the RSS feed from Blacklisted Radio is integrated, and Doomcast goes into that. And so I had submitted that for the last, since 2008 into almost every one of those engines possible. And so when it sees there's a new show called Doomcast, a lot of that's just automated. So that's why we have such a huge, I think, kind of built-in audience for the podcast, is because there's already literally tens of thousands of people that are going to get that shoved into their iTunes player.
I like it.
And so and that's why I think that despite, maybe the bad front end, or it's not bad, but the lacking front end on the website, there's still tons of people that are, finding the show and listening to it because they're either fans of you or they're fans of Blacklisted Radio. And so we've built a lot. There's a big built-in base there. I mean, we're not starting from scratch in that regard.
Yeah. No, I got you. All this was, precipitated by me saying that I like the hour concept a little bit better than it sprawling out. But it really, the times that it has sprawled out past that, it's just you and I just have a conversation, and it could easily go for 2 or 3 hours just having fun and goofing around.
I think that most people are casual listeners. They're not going to listen to every episode. They're not going to listen to every word. Then you have the hardcore listeners that really do listen to the show. And there's podcasts that I'm a fan of that I listen to every minute of. And so, there's going to be, I think, the majority of casual listeners, it could go to 3 hours.
Yeah, me too. It's called Doomcast, and I download it with my Spreaker app. And it's really, really handy for me to have, especially traveling if I'm on a plane. It's awesome. I mean, you know what? An hour and a half Doomcast is just about as long as any leg of a U.S. domestic flight that I take. So it works out really great for me for traveling.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but there's so much content. I mean, we're putting out one a week, so we're gonna have 5,200 hours a year of Doomcast.
Yeah.
So there's plenty. If the hour isn't enough and you need more, you can always go back to the next one, and some people always try to listen to everyone in chronological order. You don't have to do that. I skip. I can be a fan. I'll listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, like, honestly, once every 3 months.
I'm the exact same way. I'll see somebody that that he'll have on there that I'm really interested in, and that person will be on for an hour in the 3-hour podcast, but I'll listen in, and it's it's entertaining.
And half the time I don't finish those either. So I mean, that's why I'm not offended when people, that's why I'm really impressed with how many people with the Downvote initiative, with the Club 33 initiative that we put forward to the listeners.
Initiatives, I like that.
Yeah, because it proves that at least some of the people that are participating are listening to at least a good majority of it. So that's
all right. Well, this is our 35th Doomcast together, and honestly, Doug and I hardly talk. We'll chat a little bit in Skype, maybe a few texts now and then, but during the week we rarely speak to each other, to the point that I think early on I was maybe a little more concerned about getting together what we were going to be talking about. Now I don't. I'm just like, whatever, it's Doomcast, so we're going to sit here and we're going to BS about whatever's on each other's mind. It's going to be fun. But with all of the time we have spent together on the air, I think I've developed this relationship and this understanding of your psyche a little bit, Doug Owen. And I feel a little tension going on in your voice. Is everything cool? Are we good?
No, absolutely.
All right.
I was just telling you that I had this row today with this other guy with I'm basically having to do something like that, where I have to teach somebody how to do something that should be my job anyway, and it's very frustrating because they want to branch out, and rather than me training them and showing them the right way to do this procedure to install these power supplies, they've gone about it themselves to do it and kind of give themselves their own little pet projects, and now they've blown up a bunch of stuff at work, and they are asking me to come fix it when I should have nipped it in the bud and installed this stuff from the get-go. And so rather than just saying, hey, we're interested in doing this stuff, we want to see you work or see how this works, they just blew a bunch of really expensive equipment up. And it's just, it's so frustrating because it's so simple. It's all you have to do is just ask, hey, could you come over here and help me? I would have been more happy to, but now I have to do like 5 times the amount of work and replace a bunch of equipment because
was this group or this individual like dabbling in? I mean, are they stepping into your turf a little bit?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Okay, all right,
and it's not that. It's where somebody starts doing something that they're messing up your stuff that you're responsible for, and ultimately people are going to expect you to fix it. And I'm like, okay, if you want to fix it, then I'm sending the phone calls to your phone, and people are going to ask you to fix it.
Yeah.
Instead,
I guess there's 2 ways to look at it. I mean, you might be able to look at the the motivation of the individual. He's taking the initiative type of thing, but the initiative is all well and good up until the point that it ends up being a big pain in your butt and costing the company a bunch of money.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been one of those frustrating days already, and so the website, like I said, I mean, people are getting there and people are downloading it, and that's all that matters. It
needs to be better. You were right when at the beginning. It needs to be better, and we're going to make it better. So, looking at the news, let's do a quick rundown here. Obviously,
I love you, Charlie McGrath. Don't think anything otherwise.
I did. No. I didn't think it was anything directed at me. And that was a little bit weird, but I'll accept your man love in a very
platonic way.
Well, not just platonic, but very hetero way. I didn't take. No, I felt a little tension.
What's happening, hot stuff?
It's always good to be loved. That's for sure. Looking at the news, obviously the story of the day, and I almost called you during my radio program last night. Where I had Gabe Belton on. By the way, Gabe Belton is going to be a new host over there at Wide Awake News.
Nice.
I'm excited about that. But the shooting came out, right? The Fort Hood shooter. Turns out, from everything that I've seen so far, maybe you've done a little more digging into this. basically, military service, of course, Iraqi war veteran. They're making a big concerted effort to prove or to point out the fact that A, he wasn't in combat, B, he wasn't wounded. Now, he came back and claimed traumatic brain injury, and so I'm going to assume that he had some kind of an accident or whatnot that got him jacked up. I think one thing that's very interesting today is the fact that they're plastering Ambien all over the internet as one of the maybe potential reasons that he went.
Have you ever done Ambien?
Yes, I have. Yes,
oh my God! Tell me your story.
Well, I've been on. Okay, I'm bearing my soul here for the DoomCast audience, and why not? It isn't like I'm not known in this community, or it's not like you can't find everything you want about me anyway. But there was a time in my life when my son's mother and I, when we got divorced. Now this was 14 years ago. When we got divorced, it was a very, very obviously, if anybody's been through a breakup even, it's a very traumatic type of event. And at the time, I went to my family doctor, and this is in Butte, Montana, right? And never been on Ambien or any other kind of drug, period, really, basically nothing as far as anxiety or depression or sleep or anything like that. And I went to my doctor and I said, listen, doc, I'm going through this divorce and it's amicable, but it's obviously a very, very stressful situation. I said, I'm spending a lot of time dwelling on this naturally, and I'm not sleeping. Can you help me? So he did two things. He prescribed me Ambien for sleep and a serotonin reuptake inhibitor for depression or anxiety. Now, I'm trying to remember the name. It wasn't Zoloft or Prozac.
Paxil.
Well, it was
Butrin.
Paxil. No, it was Paxil. So 14 years ago, Charlie McGrath was on Paxil for a total of 2 weeks because it takes about, I don't know, it takes, I think, a week, maybe even close to 2 before the effects of it fully kick in. And I was on Ambien. Now, the quick story, long and short with the Paxil is I took it because the doctor said I should take it. I didn't feel any effect whatsoever until I felt all the effect, meaning that I didn't feel any effect until the prescribed period of time where it's supposed to act as this serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And when that hit, it was, Doug Owen, I don't know if you've ever been on one, you don't have to say one way or the other, but it was like going from the passionate individual that I am now, that the people, hear me on the radio, whatnot, and comment on my ability to deliver a passionate statement, to somebody who could give a crap about anything. I did not care about anything. I mean, it was, oh yeah, well, whatever, who cares type thing. I lost seemed like to me, all motivation, all drive, and that was the end of it. It was bam, off of it instantly right then and there, because it made me into somebody I completely, totally wasn't. Now, that's the Paxil side of the story, and the end of that story. The Ambien side of that story was a little bit different, because Ambien isn't, obviously it isn't for depression or anything like that. It's purely for sleep. And what a wonderful job it does of knocking you right out of the park. However, for some reason, I don't know if it was because 14 years ago it was like not brand new, but it was kind of new to the scene. But I had learned when I had gotten my prescription, I had been on it for a few weeks, right? Maybe even longer than that. Maybe it was like 3 or 4 weeks. I ran into a friend of mine who was a doctor where I currently live now in Bozeman. And I told him about, hey, I'm on this Ambien. It's a 10 milligram. I'm taking either half a pill or a pill every night, and it's working great. And he's like, well, okay, well, he's asking me a little bit about like how long I've been on it, and how long is this course going to run? And I'm like, I don't know. I've been on it 2-3 weeks, and I said I'm not really sure. I think he's given me 180 pills, and the doctor was like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I don't give more than 10 at a time because of the the egregious side effects that come with them."
Wow.
Well, yeah. So my current doctor at that time, gave me the prescription, and Doug, I think it was 6 months worth, enough for a 10 milligram pill every single night. And I was just taking it, happy, like they were, chiclets. I was popping them in there. And then I, got to that warning from another doctor, and then started to do a little bit of digging into it. And at that time, I think I just cut it cold turkey as well. And the Paxil, I don't remember anything from just stopping on that. I don't remember being overly depressed or overly anxious or anything like that. But I do remember when I tried to jump off a Paxil, it was a roller coaster ride and not a very pleasant one at that. And so since then, I've seen and known people. I have one really, really close individual, family member almost, right, that has been on Ambien literally for 10 years. 10 years. Cannot get off of it. Dangerous to get off of it. And now they've had to wean this person down to the point where it's, somewhat manageable, but there's still no, just quitting cold turkey on it. So I think Ambien is a very, and Lunesta and all these other sleep aids, man, they're very, very, you're playing with fire if you don't know what you're getting into with them.
Oh yeah. You can end up sleep shopping. You hear about that? People on Ambien,
yep.
Waking up in the middle of the night, going to the door in the morning and finding out that they've been buying stuff on Amazon and on the internet, and they're just getting, tons of boxes. They're like, what the hell happened? Now, actually, a friend of ours, she's on Ambien and gave my wife one, and I was like, well, why did she give you Ambien? She's like, I don't know. Just people share drugs. Okay.
Right. Sure.
Here, try these out. I'm doing them, and I would feel more comfortable if you're doing them too. So yeah, that's the way it goes. And truth be told, I ended up taking one just for recreational use, and it was surreal and made me feel really loopy. And yeah, I could see why people would, wake up and kill somebody. If you're already in a bad mood, you take this, it just becomes this surreal it could be a violent episode that you go into, and maybe that's what happened with this Fort Hood shooter. It's interesting, we had Jihad Monday. They were looking for Booker, the recruit that wanted to wage jihad, who had, just like most of these idiots, taken to Facebook looking for other people that want to go to Syria and fight alongside Al-Qaeda and I guess get State Department funding beyond U.S. aid and all of those groups. And well, that was kind of odd. Fox News had an exclusive, and they put that out what was it, Monday afternoon. So I was watching that story, the measles outbreak, the hype over that in New York. I don't know if you caught wind of that, but they have
I did.
Yeah. And they're just pushing, going and getting your vaccines. Funny enough, the MMR, the side effects of that vaccine are very similar to those of having measles, and it's kind of a flip. And if you're low risk, when 80 people in New York City have something, it gives the mainstream media the excuse to use the word outbreak. Oh my God, outbreak! So, I mean, it's very rarely fatal. There's a lot of other things that are pretty scary that you can catch in New York City, including super gonorrhea. So, anyway, I was watching that story, and I thought, this would be a great way to launch Obamacare with an outbreak health scare. Forget that the website just gave all of your information to some hacker. We got bigger problems. We have a measles outbreak. Run
for your lives. Yeah.
And that was just kind of weird to have that, and then to have this, which seems somewhat organic, seems like a dispute, not politically motivated. He doesn't fit any of the other MOs, and usually they try to negate talking about the pharmaceutical drugs. They try to not talk about them, or they really diminish that role or potential role in these mass shootings. So that's kind of different here, because they're kind of out in front and center saying, look, it's the drugs. So yeah, that's a change.
Well, you know what though? Yeah, no, it isn't really a change, Doug. It isn't. And here's why, because they've been, and I've done videos on this and programs on it, that always underlying the gun debate, right? Always underlying it is mental health. Even when Sandy Hook happened and Obama came out and said we're not doing a good enough job, mental health came into that dialogue in that speech. And it's been my contention for some time that there it is going to get to a point in a nation where you have over 50% of the people that is on one prescription drug or another, and the statistics are even high if you higher than that, if you break it down, female versus male, most people in this country are on some kind of prescription drug. And it's not going to be, I don't believe, too much longer before they draw this nexus between anybody who needs an anxiety. If you're having anxiety like I did because of a divorce, or whatever your situation is, loss of a loved one, PTSD, whatever the case is, and you have a caring family doctor who thinks he's doing the right thing by prescribing you a Xanax or is that it? Yeah, that's the anti-anxiety one. Some kind of medication to help alleviate some of these issues you have. You might not want to be going out and trying to purchase, like in this case, a 45 or an AR-15 or any other kind of rifle or shotgun that you have every right as an American to go buy. You might find yourself running into a little bit of a roadblock because of your mental health condition. And I could see this as backdoor gun control, and people might say, well, that's ridiculous. There's not that many people that would fall into that category. But I bet you most folks would be surprised if they knew the true statistics of people who are on Ambien or Lunesta or some kind of antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication or fill in the blank, because there isn't. If you get outside of the spectrum of ineffective antibiotics and you start looking at the other categories of drugs, most of them have some kind of potential mental health issue that can come with them. So, this could be backdoor gun control legislation just by the issuing of or an over-medicated nation.
Well, a year ago, that Barack Obama pushed forward with that mental health initiative, a few $1 million to get neuroscientists breaking down the human brain, and we're celebrating. Well, I wouldn't say celebrating, but the anniversary of the Boston bombings coming up here on the 15th. Of course, Oklahoma City and Waco both happened in April. This is kind of the blood ritual sacrifice month. You just go back throughout history, and there's a lot of really gnarly things that have happened during April 19th. I'm trying to think of all of the others. There's a bunch of them. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln. It just goes on and on and on. So these events seem to happen, and I don't know if it's absolutely random or if it's somewhat synthetic, but the overarching, I think, meme that people are taking away from this is, one, we can't have our military armed. We have to be scared of the military, and and we have to be scared of people that have some kind of depression, and people are starting to see the results are there. And when you have people that are on psychotropic drugs, they're crazy, and when they want to kill, they kill more people. That's not debatable, but the way that it can be spun, and now with the Affordable Health Care Act and the Healthcare Modernization Act, which is even worse, I think. Well, maybe not worse, but it basically makes the government able to look at all of your mental health records.
That's exactly right.
And so it's a lot more than just feeding you to the insurance companies. It's about creating digital profiles and dossiers. And so anybody that thinks that we should have this kind of legislation to restrict firearm ownership or whatever that ends up extending into, that's just going to be the bridge. That's just going to be the way that they get the conversation started about taking your rights away from you.
That's absolutely that's 100% right, and exactly my point. It isn't, it's a matter of we're getting very, very quickly to the point, and this isn't speculation. This is factual. This is where it's going. When you belly up to your doctor, your family doctor, that is no longer going to be a private. Right now you have kind of this middleman of the insurance company that maybe will shoot out red flags depending on the amount of drugs you're being prescribed, and namely their motivating factor is going to be cost, right? They don't want to pay for all this, but it's rapidly getting to the point where when you go to your family doctor, what you're telling him, what you're saying to him in that waiting room or in that examination room isn't going to be just between you and he or she any longer. It's going to be plugged into this profile, plugged into this database. And this is, I mean, these are the Orwellian type things, right, or the Huxley type things, where this profile is put together because you know what, Owen, you had Ambien once here, and you had this pill there, and you went in and saw a doctor and told them that you were feeling a little bummed out because it was getting close to tax day, and then the next thing you know, you go to buy yourself a new 30-30 Winchester, and you can't because you're deemed to be a potential patriotic terrorist that wants to wipe out the IRS on April 15th. So, that kind of profiling, I don't, to say it's coming, I think, is assured. To say in a large part that is here is probably somewhat accurate as well.
Right. Well, last week we had a bona fide white boy terrorist in Katy, Texas. His name is Robert James Talbot Jr. You're not going to hear about him probably anywhere else. The mainstream media is not talking about him. He's white. He's right-wing. He's a terrorist. And he didn't even make the mainstream media reel. This is from Cory Doctorow. You'll like this one. Last week, the FBI arrested James Talbot Jr., 38, of Katy, Texas. Talbot was the self-styled head of the American Insurgent Movement, which openly plotted to massacre Muslims at mosques and kill them with automatic weapons, sought to rob armored cars, and recruited followers to sow more mayhem. Talbot is a violent Christian fundamentalist who advertised his intention to murder people wholesale. Kudos to the FBI for arresting this guy, but Death and Taxes points out this, that where was the national panic that attends every arrest of a jihadi terrorist, no matter how cracked and improbable his plan happened to be, nowhere to be seen. So this guy, he and I have to give the media, they give the media the credit for this guy being a kook. Okay, he didn't have a bunch of automatic weapons. He didn't have any kind of means to make this happen, just like most of the terrorists they bring out and tout as these jihadi radicals. So this guy's blowing a lot of smoke. I mean, it's talking a great game, and of course he, like all these other idiots aforementioned earlier, they go to Facebook to recruit people to join their terrorist organization. So anyway, they picked this guy up. He had a plan. We wanted bombs and machine guns, and he was going to use C4 to blow up all these Muslims. But it's pretty funny to see this, because there's a lot of these cases where you really do have somebody who's got a politically motivated terrorist mind, doesn't even make the nightly news outside of Katy, which is in Houston. Right. So yeah, I mean, you see the agenda there. I mean, not to say that this guy, I mean, and that's the right thing. I mean, there was no real risk. Okay. And at most, if he blew up some building that's not worse than, what's probably going to happen on the 405 tomorrow evening, more people are going to die there, quite honestly.
Well, it goes to prove a point also that when does your jargon become a knock on your door, right? I mean, obviously, I don't know anything about this guy, but listening to you describe him, it sounds like he was a nut, and he was, and Doug, there's a lot of them out there, right? There's a lot of them out there. You get emails from them once in a while. So do I.
No, I mean, they're in government, and listen to Dick Cheney. Listen to Condoleezza Rice. Listen to these people. They're absolutely crazy.
But it really dawned on me when I was in Minnesota last week, and we were doing DoomCast, and we were talking about the asthma sitch, and you made a comment about, oh, Charlie was afraid he was going to bring down the plane or something like that. How much of that happens, where an innocuous statement like that, where it's suddenly red flagged, and how many people listen to that comment that you made to me, or that we made back and forth, just because of the wordage using it, and then does that spark some kind of dossier on you or us or whatever the case is? But
I would hope so. I mean, if for God's sakes, if they're listening to anybody, I mean, you and I and all the keywords, and my Google searches have to be pretty compelling for any one of those search keyword engines. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I've Google searched pressure cooker bomb. I've Google searched a different kind of explosive and that kind of things, only because they're in the news and I want to learn more about them. I want to learn more about what I'm talking about. That makes you highly suspect. People that look into mass murders are probably mass murderers. That's the equation. You know, all of this that we've been talking about, we should talk about the Boston bomber, because there's been some huge revelations in this story. One of which is that the Boston bomber, the main bomber, the older brother, was being recruited by the FBI. Have you got wind of this?
I've got wind of it, but please continue.
All right. So basically, because of his Google searches, okay, that's what the FBI is saying. So obviously they were monitoring this guy's searches. Okay, this is not just, happening last week. It's nothing new. This is how they, and so, it's these kind of admissions that, totally diminish any legitimacy to the arguments that, they're not. But now Alexander is pretty much basically said that, yes, they are monitoring everybody. It's illegal. We don't care. It's for your, best interest. So that's almost not even that relevant. I mean, it's very relevant, but it's not that big of a deal to most people. So I've got this clip here. I'll play this, and it'll bring everybody up to speed. And there's a couple other bombshells, a couple other things to note from this. So here we go.
And Phil, these motions filed today by Jahar Zanayev's defense team give us some insight into the strategy they may use at trial to portray the older brother, Tamerlan, as the ringleader and Jahar as a younger brother forced to follow suit. In motions filed Friday, Jahar Zanayev's defense team asks the judge to order prosecutors to turn over the government's surveillance of older brother Tamerlan, obtained during a 2011 investigation following a tip from Russian authorities.
Okay, so mind you, the Russians had tipped the U.S. government off to this. So, not that Russia hasn't tried to help the U.S. in the past, and maybe that's one of the things they just don't like. Stop trying to help Russia. And it might have also been that they had just been keyed into this little operation that was going on, a little trade craft, and they were gonna, who knows, maybe next week they'll leak another telling interview on YouTube. Right. It's been happening a lot. So here we go.
Defense believes any evidence showing Tamerlan's pursuit of jihad would support the theory that he was the more radical brother and the mastermind of the Boston Marathon bombing.
This is a very complicated case that got a little bit more complicated today, because now you're talking about lawyers wanting even more evidence. So expect the government to fight it. Expect the defense to say that they need it in order to move forward with the trial.
The defense says the FBI had contacted Tamerlan multiple times before the bombing to speak with him about his questionable internet searches.
So, okay, so they've been talking to Tamerlan. They've had multiple conversations with this guy. They're in bed with him, and they were probably using him as a patsy. More than likely, this is a story. They maybe offered his parent citizenship. Who knows what the offer may have been, and they may have actually, keyed in on him because of the internet surveillance. He may have been, an operator from the get-go. But nonetheless, they don't want to be forthcoming with this because it proves that the FBI was, really the ringleader in all of this, and they probably had a really good idea, if not, directly responsible for orchestrating this. So yeah, this is gonna, we'll see. If do
you think now? First of all, the Russian connection that was known early on, right? And the notion of the FBI knowing, it's really easy for anybody to find out. If you look at the terror events thwarted over the last decade by the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, you'll find out really quickly that the vast majority of these are staged setups by the FBI, and this isn't conspiracy. This is factual. This is
They find the dumbest people that are loudmouths on Facebook that have been saying, hey, I'm looking for a bunch of pals that want
right, and it's even more onerous than that, because not only are they just listening, right, they're instigating in a lot of cases, and seeing who they can follow out of the mosque in the parking lot, and kind of coerce them into saying, yeah, I want to join in the next big jihad,
buying them drugs, food,
facilitating it, giving them material support, and the whole 9 yards, and making it seem just as simple as all you got to do is take this cell phone, push send, and you're going to be, with Durka with the virgins up in Valhalla or whatever. But do you think that this? Do you think that this is a case of one of those plans that went too far, or an outright, or maybe just they knew it was going to happen and didn't, because of incompetence, let it come to pass? which seems really hard for me to buy.
No, no. This is organized, absolutely organized. I mean, you had dogs. I mean, I don't want to go through the whole narrative here because this proves that everything that we heard beforehand. And we have one other thing. Okay, some of the other propaganda. Everything about the story that the mainstream media has told us and the government has told us thus far has been a complete fabrication and a lie. Right. And we knew it. I mean, we pretty much narrated what was happening at the time with the guys. They had the video of the guys in the car. Okay, they get out of the car and the guy that was being held hostage just sat there while they went into the convenience store. So, you know, when they popped up, they had different vehicles. There was a bunch of confusion about that. The firefight that happened. Apparently, they shot the older brother, but there's also reports that the younger brother ran him over. So there's just so many inconsistencies and contradictions in the story. It's really hard to make a lot of sense, but I think that's absolutely intentional. But what is not intentional or what is absolutely also intentional is that they don't want, you know, this to come to light because it's going to make the FBI look really bad because they were probably, I mean, if not goading these guys into doing it. Now, did they think that this is going to actually happen, or were they just, you know, hoping or thinking this would go through the motions? I don't know. Yeah, I wonder about that, if they actually wanted these devices to go off or if they were just running a drill and trying to use these guys and maybe pin them on something. But nonetheless, I mean, what they've told us so far have all been lies.
Yeah. So and that's what we find time and time again. Time and time again. It doesn't matter if it's the 5 dudes who are trying to blow up a bridge in Boston or, you know, the guy that's launching the big plan to blow up the stock market. We find out time and time again that it's the FBI behind the scenes, or, you know, government alphabet agencies behind the scenes, precipitating all of it, and then claiming success and victory when they suddenly thwart it. So I do often, you know, wonder if it goes to the point of it being carried through or comes to the point of fruition on these attacks. It would almost seem to me if it was involvement, you couldn't have the level of incompetence to actually have it go off, because I can't believe that these individuals are given, you know, the actual ingredients, right, to make these kind of devices. You know, they're inert usually in most cases, and, you know, they're dummy rounds or whatever the case is. But so when it does come to pass, you got to think, is it just a moment of trying to remind the people, hey, we're still in a war on terror. Hey, you still need to be afraid. Hey, you still need to give up your freedom to so we can keep you safe, type of thing. So, but you're 100% right when you say the truth is always the last thing to come out in these cases, and, you know, it'll be years and years down the road before it does, and by then, you know, who cares? Nobody's paying attention.
Sure. You know, people talk about the JFK assassination. I'm like, well, you know, you have E. Howard Hunt's deathbed confession. He was a CIA operator, and he was one of the Watergate burglars. And if he doesn't compel you with his confession, you know, because people are always like, well, you need some, you know, nobody's ever confessed. We got a guy that's confessed and corroborated what many other people speculated. Is that not enough? And, you know, for some people, it's never going to be enough.
It's not enough unless it comes, you know, if it doesn't happen in the 24-hour news cycle, the first 12 hours of it, and it's not Bill O'Reilly saying it, or pick your favorite spokesperson, then it doesn't exist. And it doesn't matter if the truth comes out 20 years later. You know, you could have the evidence cold, nailed, dead to rights, and just most people aren't going to, they're not going to care. It is telling that I do believe, you know, if the truth was unleashed on the JFK assassination, that generation would be more interested in what happened then and seeking the truth than the current generation would be in 9/11. And I think it's because of a desensitization, a constant beating of the drum of government's got your back, and almost a immersion into police state propaganda and psyops, to the point where most people are they're walking around waiting for these events to occur. When they do, they lift their head up for a minute, listen to the news blurb about it, and then move on down the road. I mean, they just seem to be disconnected.
Well, I mean, you know, and how can you get connected unless you have a lot of time and you really want to dig into these stories? I mean, you know, I have to have a concerted level of, and I think that most of the people that listen to this podcast already have a pretty cynical view. And so you're really trying to prove to yourself that it's not somehow intelligence organized. It's not tradecraft. It's not government sponsored, which in most cases, cui bono, look at who is the benefactor. And if you think that, Fortune 500 companies that make billions of dollars won't kill a few people to make sure that they hold that power and those profits, you're just kind of naive. But one of the big things was that they had killed this cop. Lo and behold, guess who killed the cop? It's now coming out. But the hype while they were going door to door, kicking in people's doors, quote unquote, liberating people from their homes in Boston. They were saying these guys are cop murderers, and they were telling the other police, which turned them into rabid dogs.
Absolutely.
And guess what? It was the cops that shot him. And we knew that he couldn't have been shot by these guys. And, none of these things, none of the forensics, even what they were saying, the verbal forensics were making any sense at the time. You're like, but I thought he was over there. You said this. That makes no sense. And, but it's not funny because at the time that you were talking about the psychological aspect of it all, it doesn't matter what happens now. Yeah, well, all those things we said were not true. And one of the other things that I think is really notable is that they were being targeted by Russian intelligence.
Yes.
And what does Russia really know about these guys? We've seen some of the, and I'm really interested to see if we don't see something leak out in the next few months onto YouTube or some other platform that might give us a little bit more of the history. But
what is your thoughts, Owen? Wait a minute. What do you think that? Your speculation on what Russia might?
I think it would prove that they were probably working with other Chechen terrorists, and that they were, State Department funded, sponsored, that they had been working on the ground. I mean, how did they come onto the Russians' radar? Well, they were hanging out with a bunch of militants that are known to. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. We might have even talked about this on one of the Doomcasts. One of the first ones, like 2 or 3, about this guy that they had been contacting and working with. And
are you thinking an angle where it was State Department funded, putting a hornet's nest in Russia's bonnet?
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, hey, they're feeding information back so they could say, hey, we know that this is State Department.
Right. Well, we're on to your guy here. We just wanted to give you a friendly reminder that we found some Chechen terrorists, and they just happen to be U.S. citizens. The FBI just happens to be talking to them a lot. So that's it's kind of the echo chamber.
Yeah, and absolutely to say that in the context of the current tension between the U.S. and Russia. It fits into that very nicely.
You brought up 9/11, and there's some new documents yet to be declassified about Saudi Arabia's role. Of course, we went to Afghanistan, and that's become the biggest opium production plant or country in the world, and it's basically narco-terrorism and sectarian violence. And actually, it's been relatively calm because most of the ne'er-do-wells and people that aren't part of the business are gone. But we ended up in Iraq, and we remember all of the, that's one of the talking points, I think, but for the Russians to their advantage to bring up Iraq and mercilessly going after the wrong people, creating just your own propaganda and bull crap and taking that to the world government and trying to sell the UN. And that's where they think that they have legitimacy. You hear this argument, well, at least the United States went to the United Nations. That's right. Barack Obama also went to the UN and NATO to ask for permission to invade Libya, to attack Libya. He didn't go to Congress. He didn't go to the Senate. He went directly to the World Government Councils. But nonetheless, here's another revelation. And, you see these, it makes me so mad. And that's why I think it's relevant. Because we have the same criminals, Dick Cheney, coming out of the woodwork to speak about and give his advice on what should be done in the Ukraine. So we have all of these people that, have literally over 1 million people's blood on their hands, and
easily.
That's a very conservative number,
right?
And people are giving them standing ovations. Although Dick Cheney did get chastised.
He did get booed out, yeah.
I got the audio on that, but it's
do that, yeah.
It's just people screaming at Dick Cheney, "You suck!" But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say this actually has a little merit to it, or we'll get a little education.
Saudi Arabia have chilled a bit over the past year, largely due to America's policy on Iran.
Yeah, everybody's upset with Saudi Arabia, and it's really hard to completely forget the fact that they are completely horrible with human rights, and they treat women like shit. And, that was one of the reasons that we have to go into Syria. Assad is so mean to the women. He's so mean. And you remember
he's the new Hitler.
Yeah,
he's the Hitler of the day. That was the narrative. I mean, it was Gaddafi and then Assad, and they were, compared to Saddam Hussein, Adolf Hitler, Stalin.
He's giving erectile dysfunction drugs. He's giving what was it? What's the pill that gets everybody?
Viagra?
Giving Viagra to his troops so they could rape women and babies. Remember that?
Yes.
Gaddafi's giving out. I'm like, really? He's giving out Viagra. He's really giving out Viagra. Oh, yes, absolutely.
You got to build the enemy, man. You got to have a boogeyman, and you need to, stoke the fear of the children.
And, that's probably just a great native advertisement. I mean, going back to Ambien for a moment, when people see that, and they're like, oh, man, Ambien makes you, I want some Ambien. I mean, it's probably a great advertisement. So anyway, Saudi relations are kind of souring, and we all know that they may have reached peak oil. I think that's really what it comes down to. And King Abdullah, or whatever, Abdullah.
Abadagi.
Abadubi. The one that French kisses George W. Bush at the ranch, that famous picture, that guy?
I do remember.
Yeah, their wells are running dry. So I think that things have to change. But when it comes right down to it, they have been in complete synchronicity with the U.S. State Department and the U.S. government's role in
Saudi
Iraq.
Arabia?
Absolutely, yeah.
100,000% yes. I mean, their interests are we are serving their interests. They're part and parcel with everything that's been happening. They're more complicit in 9/11 than any nation that we went in and dominated. And to say that 1 million people have died needlessly over the last decade because of it, truly is, Doug Owen, an understatement.
I think a lot of our listeners might blame Israel, but I would say that, the fact that most of the hijackers were actually from this state, and if you were going to go after a nation state itself, then Saudi Arabia is right there. It's right there with them. So here we go. Here's a little bit more.
And Syria. Now, all this comes amid a renewed push from a group in Congress and a senior statesman for the White House to declassify a 28-page redacted section of the joint 9/11 inquiry from the House and Senate Intelligence Committees. The group claims that the classified section proves high-level Saudi involvement in the 9/11 attacks and could have evidence of sleeper cells still operating here in the U.S.
The plot thickens, Charlie McGrath.
We got sleeper cells.
Awaken, Al-Qaeda, Durga. It's time.
The infidel.
Those guys will probably get their messaging from Pat Robertson. This is for you, okay? This is why.
Why does Pat Robertson got to be drug into this, Doug Owen?
Because I have a funny clip, and he's just a crazy coot, and it makes
Pat Robertson?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, he gets the word from on high.
Well, yeah, I think he's high. Here we go.
What is it about Jewish people that make them prosper financially?
Okay, so this is Pat Robertson bringing you a Jewish man, and there's a hook here, okay? So here we go.
What is it about Jewish people that make them prosper financially? Well, you'll almost never find Jews tinkering with their cars on the weekends or mowing their lawns. That's what Daniel Lapin says. And there's a very good reason for that. And it lies within the business secrets of the Bible.
When you correctly said in Jewish neighborhoods, you do not find Jews lying under their cars on Sunday afternoon. No, I pay one of the best mechanics around to take care of my BMW. That's what I do. I'd be crazy to take my time doing it myself.
Diamonds.
Did you hear it? You're just polishing diamonds.
Polishing diamonds. What was that?
Okay, so he brings this rabbi on to give money advice to the Christians. So it really just tickled me. Somebody sent this to me, and they're like, "You got to play on the Doomcast. Look, listen to this crazy dude."
Wait a minute. The point. What was the point of it? I mean, the point was that the Jews have a lot of money.
the Jews know how to make money, so don't go to a Gentile. Okay, if you want your car fixed, you go to, somebody like you or I, Charlie McGrath. Okay, if you want somebody to take care of your money, you go to a rabbi.
I guess so. I guess that's the moral of the story. Pat Robertson, and
because they're rubbing their diamons together. I mean,
No, they're polishing their diamonds. They don't want to. Yeah, they're home polishing diamonds. That you know what? I don't know. You're probably going to rip into me now, but I like Pat Robertson.
What?
Yeah, I think he's great. I love listening to that guy.
Oh man, really? I mean, I hope it's for entertainment.
No. Listen to me. When we collected, Bonnie and I collected some money for the tornadoes that went through Oklahoma. Right, and we started.
Yeah,
looking,
you were selling your art, and you were going to give the money to the people there.
Which we did, and it was, it wasn't a ton of money, but when I started looking into different, groups that were on the scene and who were, the the percentage of money that you gave actually went to help the people that were there. That it didn't end up going to them, but their percentages, at least, and maybe you're going to call it out as self-reported, their track record was higher by far than like Red Cross or any of these other named type organizations that are known for their donations or for their charitable giving or for disaster relief. His organization, and people are freaking out right now. They're listening to this. His organization ranked really, really high up there, and then the list of things that they've done has been pretty amazing. So, take it forward.
I mean, if you take 90% of the money and you build yourself your own private airports and the like, and one of the things that I find really disingenuous about Pat Robertson is that he knows exactly what's happening. He's not just some naive guy that's not aware of the New World Order. He actually wrote books about the New World Order and was warning people of that. And then he became a media baron, and then became very rich. And it's just like Alan Greenspan. Once you identify the beast and you write a book or two about it, about gold and devaluing the dollar and depegging the dollar and how that would lead to rampant globalization. But then you sit home and polish your diamonds. Yeah, at least Greenspan's of the right ethnicity for that analogy, and he absolutely did, and he got to marry a media lady, Maria. Is it Shriver? No, not Shriver. That's one of the Kennedy chicks. Isn't that Andrea Mitchell? Andrea Mitchell is married to him. Which, I mean, if you look at Ellen Greenspan, you look at her, you're like, hey, man, that's a hell of a catch for you, bud. I mean, I don't care how rich you are. She still has to touch you. And my God, it's like... Yeah,
he looks like Gollum.
I mean, maybe if you rub him at night, he turns into a prince or something. Maybe, but I doubt it. But nonetheless, these guys know what's going on.
First of all, there's no... Look at, there's something you can never put in my head again, all right? You can never put... a female or anybody for that matter, and the image of rubbing Alan Greenspan into my brain ever again, Doug Owen. That's it. That's a game changer, right there.
Rub me, man. He drools when he eats his pudding too. They're like, oh, they have to pull. I'm gonna polish that, baby. I haven't eaten meat in 3 years. Give me more pudding, because that's all those old people like that can eat. It's just pudding.
Oh, you're me out. You're creeping me out. Doug, got a new gun.
I bet you do. Yeah, every week you have a new gun. Okay, and before we get into that, I want to say, for the people out there that didn't see you bonding with your son and the very masculine thing that you were doing by shooting guns together and showing the lighter side, the human interest aspect to Charlie McGrath's life, you should, because it's pretty good. And I thought it was pretty cool and kind of out of the usual.
Well, here's the deal. I greatly appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say so. And in the last month, actually in the last couple of weeks, I posted 2 videos of that, and I've taken them out several other times. But I've had a little bit of feedback because I hadn't put out in this week. It was Thursday, and I haven't done a commentary video yet. And I cut back, especially in March, and so far in April, almost to just where I just did a couple. Well, the reason is I'm traveling. This last month I've been traveling a lot, so I've been lucky to be able to keep doing the DoomCast, the Wednesday night radio program, and then an occasional RT interview, and put out a video once in a while. But certainly a concerted effort on my part to spend more time with my 14-year-old son, who is at that point in his life where he's very, very interested in this topic, and the realization, that Doug, I know it seems like it's a long way away for you, but it ain't, man. It ain't. You're going to be sitting there looking at your kid and knowing that his voice is changing, and he's growing into his own man, and you don't want that time to slip by without spending some time.
I've noticed you have hair in your armpits. Maybe we should have that talk.
Grab the gun, son.
I smell BO on you. This is deodorant. This is what men use.
It has been an effort on my part to spend more time with him, because time is fleeting. And the gun thing, I never talk about that on YouTube. Never have. I have a lot on DoomCast. Obviously, it's kind of turned into a little joke you and I have. But I think this stuff's important, and I want him to know how to defend himself. I want him to know how to use these weapons, and that's.
Oh, whoa, yeah.
Oh, hey, son, put it away. Put it away. Yeah. Not now. Not now. I told you after the DoomCast. But thank you for noticing. I appreciate it. So, but I do have a new gun.
Okay, so tell us about it. Everybody wants to know. Gun talk.
Here it is. In the promo video, even, I showed it real quick, and now that video is deleted. So if you're not one of the people that watched the promo video for DoomCast tonight,
what happened? I mean, you're in a V-neck, you're hanging out, you got the
chilling out. Yeah. Did you watch a video?
Yeah.
Did you see it? Did you see the piece du jour?
I did.
Yeah.
It's nice.
No, it was a promo video, so I'm going to go ahead and pull clips from this, like I was doing there, which is this.
Oh, there it is.
Stevens Savage 12 gauge.
Voila.
Yeah, voila! It is. It's a Stevens 12 gauge tactical.
All right, who's Steven?
Stevens is the brand, but it's made by Savage/Stevens. So if you go onto the Savage website, you'll see and go to the shotguns, you'll see this. It's their Stevens Savage shotgun, and it's a very, very price point oriented home defense weapon, of which you could not get a better home defense weapon than a 12 gauge. This one right here is loaded with double-aught buck, which is a game-ending device at that point. Nothing gets past that. But
you can kill bears with that.
There's nothing you can't kill with that if you're in the right range.
How does that thing kick with some double-aught buck in there?
It kicks like a mule, but that video I put out, my kid shot it. He shot it with double-aught buck in it. He's 14 and 138 pounds, so if he can do it, then there's nobody out there listening that is of adult age that couldn't do it. And double-aught buck, it's a 3-inch shell, so you're not gonna get anything that kicks much harder than that. So, but it's a great gun. $200 and what did I pay for it, Doug? $200. I think $212 I paid for it. 5 rounds it holds in the tube, and then 1 in the pipe, so you got 6 round total. Pistol grip, all composite, very, very nice, very affordable home defense weaponry.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Not accurate. I mean, you're not going to go deer hunting with that, but you can have some fun.
Yeah. My brother-in-law's mom has a 10 gauge shotgun.
Oof. You ever shot one of them?
She shoots it off her hip. She shoots that thing off her hip. She's like, close to 60, and I'm like, really? And she gets out there, regularly. She shoots this thing, and
I had a friend in high school, in college that he was a guide in the Bob Marshall Wilderness. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but the Bob Marshall is a wilderness area in Montana that's in the Rocky Mountain West that runs from Glacier Park, almost Glacier Park south. Very, very large wilderness area. No cars, nothing. I mean, you got to pack in, and a lot of grizzly bears in there. And he used to pack a 10 gauge on his horse for bear protection, and it was sawed off. And I don't even know if it was legal. I for some reason think
it doesn't matter when you're fighting a bear. What's legal?
You don't really care. But he had put a pistol grip on it. So it was just completely 100%. You're going to pull the trigger, break your wrist, and kill a bear type of a gun. But 10 gauge is no joke, no doubt about it.
Oh man, yeah, no. She's like, "You want to shoot it?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm good." It's tempting though. I mean, it's just a big freaking ridiculous gun. It's just bigger than a shotgun for the people out there that are not gun aficionados. A
10 gauge, for those that don't know, shotguns, the bigger the number, the smaller the shell. So, a 16 gauge is smaller than a 12 gauge, and a 10 gauge is bigger than a 12 gauge, and it's.
I think I've heard of 8s. I don't think I've seen one. But
there's a 4 gauge. You can get a 4 gauge shot. I don't know if you can get them, but they made at one point a 4 gauge shotgun.
Just in case you're out on safari and you run into a.
I think it's for home demolition. I think it's for tearing down walls because I don't really know what you're going to shoot with that thing. But 10 gauge is like if you're a swan hunter or you can goose hunt with it. I mean, it's a gun that's actually still used for hunting quite a bit, so it's not that extraordinary. Damn eagle hunter.
Can you kill bald eagles with it? Not that I would. I'm just asking.
Could it be done? Tell me.
Just in case I was in some other country where that might be okay.
All right, let's recap this thing. Here's what we got. We got Doug Owen. He had a bad day at work. Somebody was tiptoeing in his tulips, and not that that's so bad. They went ahead and trampled some of them. Now he's going to have some cleanup that he's got to do. He squared me away on the website and is putting together a nice email for me and the webmaster so we can get this thing rolling by DoomCast, the next DoomCast number 36, so that we have a more functioning DoomCast.com. What else do we cover, Doug Owen?
I don't know if we should put a timeline. That's kind of a jinx. Look at healthcare.gov. But it's going to be better than healthcare.gov by far.
It absolutely already is, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be done. It just has to. We have to see improvement.
Boston bombing, the Fort Hood shooter, the media narratives, real terrorists that don't get the attention that they may or may not deserve. I think that was
conclusively, the Charlie's dabble with a serotonin reuptake inhibitor as well as Ambien.
Ambien stories from the realm,
and a new big gun.
Charlie's big. It's not a Defender. It looks like a Defender, kind of.
Are you looking at it? The Savage? Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Yeah. So you deleted this video? So I'm just looking at if I refresh, it's gone.
Oh yeah, it's gone. But I thought you meant you were looking. You went to the website, Savage website.
Oh no. I'm looking at it on your video.
I think what I'm trying to do is find the perfect Doomer gun, right? And even the last time I went out, it was 4 minutes of Doomer gun fun. That was the name of that video that's up posted right now. But I'm trying to find what is going to be the ultimate Doomer gun, and this
for the zombie apocalypse, like
well,
that.
no, for the needs of the Doomers out there. The people that we're not necessarily crazy balls to the walls prepping for the end of the universe type folks, but we're also knowing that what could hit the fan at any time, and we want to be ready. So what would be the ultimate? And so far, if I were to pick, I would have to say that something along the realm of this 12 gauge is a very, very viable choice for the what hitting the fan. Now people are going to be mad at that because they're going to say, well, what are you going to do if you want to go hunt something? Well, it's a good point, but as far as defending yourself and the family, you can be really, really scared. You can be really, really anxious. You can have a lot of things happening to you at once, and that 12 gauge with double up buck is still going to do what it's designed to do. Now, you can't say that if you're, slinging around an AR or an AK or a rifle. You can put
birdshot in it. You can go out and bird hunt, turkey hunt, rabbit hunt with a shotgun. I've done it. It's fine. Duck hunting, you use a shotgun. So if you're into hunting fowl, shotguns are pretty.
That's what you have to use. You're not going to go duck hunting with a 30-06, right? I mean, you're going to use a shotgun. You have to use a shotgun.
If you want to be at all successful.
Right. Unless you're really good, Bat Masterson with the old single 6, and you can knock him out of the air, shoot him in the eye type thing. But how'd that go? Do that again.
Pretty bad, right?
You just found the clip for the DoomCast number 35, 1 minute little preview episode. Here's the thing, Doug. Let me ask you this real quick, then I'm going to go. We're going to wrap it up. But I find it interesting because the notion that it's all going to hit the fan and you're going to be okay because you have a hunting rifle and you can go shoot a deer or an elk or something like that and survive out in the wilderness. And you know what? You and I took some heat whenever we covered this topic, by the way. It cracks me up because, look, I live in Montana, right? Montana, there's 1 million people in the whole state, fourth largest state in the union. Now, if the 1 million people in Montana suddenly couldn't go down to their local grocery store and buy food, and everybody was taken to the hills, even in a state where the deer and the elk outnumber the people, guess what? You're not going to have enough resources to feed the people of Montana, let alone the people of a broken down, hit the fan nation. So that romantic notion of I'm taken to the wilderness and I'm going to live off the land, well, that's great as long as everybody else ain't having the same plan.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just only speak to my situation. I've actually told my mom and dad, if stuff goes down, this is where I'll be. And we have some land that's very near the coast, and we have almost 100 head of cattle. They're not great cattle, but my dad takes those every other year to be slaughtered or sold, and it just depends. And they keep so many of them for an ag exemption. But I could go easily hunt. There's deer all over the place. Tons of pigs, man. Boars. They're actually a problem.
I think you sent me. Yeah, they hunt them from helicopter there. And didn't you send me? Pictures of the compound that you and I are gonna the Doom compound that we're gonna invest in?
Yeah. So exactly. And so it's not that I think that prepping or looking to be more self-sufficient or to have an oh shit plan isn't a great idea. I absolutely do, but I think
critical idea. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a lifestyle thing. It's actually investing in something that is sustainable. That doesn't mean that it's some plan. You get your bug out bag. You can get to the rendezvous point. That's good to have, and I guess there should be some focus on that. But I think too much of it looks more at something that what are we doing in case of an event rather than what are we doing to get ourselves into a place where it doesn't matter if there's an event or you're going to have minimal impact in your own day-to-day life if there is an event, or can you protect yourself and your family in that situation realistically? So that's a lot harder. It's really easy to go. Here's something. I've got the whole Firefox book series. Okay, you want a recipe for cooking raccoon? You don't need it today unless you like raccoon, but you might need it tomorrow. How many stew recipes do you have for squirrel? I have at least 5. And the only reason, and I wouldn't dream of getting rid of those. My mother bequeathed them to me. Her grandmother, yeah.
Ew. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, she was a hippie. But so just reading those Firefox books, it's just amazing to see how people really, Are you familiar with the Firefox series?
No, not at all, actually.
Oh, man. Oh, dude. Wow. You need to get into this. This is Prepper 101. This is essential prepping. Okay, so basically back in, I want to say it was the 60s, in West Virginia, they decided to go and talk to all these people that have been living in the hills. This teacher made a project for his class to go and actually learn, it was an anthropological study. And so they met with all of these freaking hillbillies that had been growing tobacco and their own food and had all of their systems, and they'd been just living by themselves, untouched by modern civilization. And we're talking about eating raccoons and squirrels and, tanning hides and making their own leather. Doing everything. Like if you lived out, literally, that was your life. You lived in the freaking woods without electricity day to day. What would you do generations after? And these people, and this is something that was, this dying art, and these people, were now working in mines, and, their kids weren't living in the hills of West Virginia. So he saw the opportunity to take his students there to these people, these very old, what's the name? What do they call those guys? I was going to call them Aborigines. They're not. They're from Appalachia. Appalachians. The Appalachians. Yeah. And I don't know. Those other guys are in Australia. No.
Yeah, the Aborigines. Well, I think Aboriginal can be whatever. Go ahead. Continue your story.
Anyway, I saw the value in that, and then they wrote the Firefox book series. So
and it's all on these old school or these old practices and traditions and customs. That sounds very interesting. And you have this series?
Oh yeah. You can buy the series. I mean, I have it a hard copy. She bought it, or my grandmother bought some of it. There's a bunch of books. I would wager maybe 20. It might not be that many, but you can still find them. I'm sure you can get them online. Great series, great stuff, because it's not just the information that's there, you know, the secrets to how the people before us did this, but you know, the whole learning experience and, you know, getting this firsthand knowledge that went directly to, you know, these children. That was just, you know, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds very cool. I'm gonna
so it's not that I'm not a fan of prepping. It's just that I think that some of these people
come across that way. It's going to come across that way, and I hope it doesn't. But it's going to.
Faux preppers, you faux fake preppers out there. You're just weekend warriors. You're just wearing camo and running around with your Barbie doll accessories on your AR-15, doing, you know, I don't know, flips and, you know, crossing monkey bars and stuff. That's not really prepping. Okay. That's a combat collision course.
Oh my God, I can't wait to cut this up. This is going to be great. All right, my name is Charlie McGrath. My website is wideawakenews.com. My co-founder, my friend, is Doug Owen, blacklistednews.com. We are DoomCast, doomcast.com. Follow us on the DoomCast Show on Twitter. Thank you very much. Coming next week, a new revamped, hopefully a quite extensively revamped doomcast.com. Until then, we'll see you next week on DoomCast number 36.
Take care, everyone.
Peace. Owen, send it to me when you got it, buddy. And I'll get to work.